And we are live. Okay, guys, welcome to our one more show called Mentor Mondays, and we have.
It's 8 o'clock.
Yes, it's 8 o'clock. So we have, special. Like it's an understatement. We have an extremely hardworking, talented Dosa man from India called Eshwar Vikas. Hi, Eshwar.
Hi, Kashyap. How are you?
Good. So, his story is amazing. I'm writing his story in my book, and his story is amazing because he started with extreme clarity. I think I let Ishwar tell us his story. So, before we start his interview, you know that ritual, right? So, we're going to start sharing the link because now we want people to join this talk. So, I'm going to share the link with you, Ishwar, first.
Okay.
And let's wait for people to join. I think after that, we can join. Okay, just a moment. So I'm sending to you first, Ishwar, so that you can share it in your friends. And I'm sharing it. Okay, you got the link?
Yes, and
Okay, give me a moment, just one moment, and we can get started with the interview.
all right. I think I've shared it on my profile.
Very good. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so people will join when they will join. So it will be a fleeting population which will come and go. So, drum roll. Welcome to the show, Eshwar Vikas.
Thank you, Kashyap.
So,
thanks for having
Eshwar,
me here.
Yeah, pleasure. So tell us about your journey. Where did you get started, or what's your story about your entrepreneurship?
So my story started the story of entrepreneurship. It started when in a hostel room in Chennai. So it was outside about 40 kilometers outside Chennai. So me and my co-founder Sudeep started the journey around 2000 and around 2012. So it's been about 6 long years. I was a third year student, and that's when in May 2012 we incorporated the company, and we're still in a hostel room, in a dorm room. So that's how the story started.
Like I remember, I had come to your office and you told me that you said no to a lot of things. So enlighten our viewers about your theory of no.
So the first no I said was to placements. Being a student, placements was a very tempting thing, and our college was known to offer really good packages to, the best of the companies came, and many people started offering jobs. And the first thing I had to say no was to placements. So we were a class of about say 60 people in my class, and all three sections about say 180, 200 people. And almost 90% of them were placed, and there were only few people those with the arrears and all, and I was one of them who never sat for placement, so I never got placed. So sitting, few of them got into Accenture, some got in Musicma, some said we are going to Mahindra, Bank of America, JP Morgan. So all the top brands were coming and offering jobs, and I was sitting there, and I said, let's have a startup. Me and my co-founder said, let's do a startup. Let's not join the bandwagon.
Right. So did you already have an idea? Because a lot of people who are watching this are also in the same ship that you were in, let's say. Now, did you already have an idea about a startup, or you said, okay, guys, hi, Sandeep. Sandeep was your co-founder, right? Sandeep, we're going to be a startup. Sudeep, yeah. Sudeep, we're going to be a startup. Did you have a startup idea to get started with, or like was it just?
See, we didn't have a crystallized idea, but we were able to see a pain point out there. We were able to see, we both loved to eat good food, but we were not able to make food ourselves. So we always had to eat outside, which was not healthy and all, and we were pretty lazy to cook our own food. So we thought we should have a machine. You just go and press a button, and damn, you get some nice, awesome food. So that was our idea.
Wow, wow. So and then you came out of the college and tell us a little bit more. Obviously, the journey was not easy. Tell us more all the difficulties you faced. Tell us more about it.
See, the synonym of a startup would be difficulties. So you would always be facing difficulties from day one. So every new day is a difficulty. Every new day um, is a challenge that will be thrown on your face. You feel you go to office say at 9 a.m. and you have 5 6 challenges that you want to close, and by night you are done. By the time you come back home, in your email or your WhatsApp, there's another new challenge sitting. So
Right.
that's the way things go, in a startup. So some of the major challenges which I had to face was um, to get our customers, to get the first few customers. Getting the product right is another challenge, because we were in the hardware space, we were not in the software space. So this was a space where people had not done anything much, and especially in India. So building a hardware product out of India purely based on IP, and no reference product in the market, but still believing that you have a product that has a huge market potential, and going and doing it despite 99 amongst the 100 people saying no, that ye to kaam nahi karega, this won't work. So that was one
Yeah.
challenge. That was the initial challenge which you had to face. But there was a gut feel that chalo ye ho jayega, we have to do this and it will be done. So that was what kept going.
Right. I mean, it's surprising because first of all, it is tough to be a startup, and
Right.
it is even more tough to be a hardware startup.
Correct.
Did you sometimes feel that you're being an idiot to be in this hardware space? You could have taken easier route out. Like, did you go through those moments? What would you tell yourself during those moments?
So running a startup is a marathon, and I would say running a hardware startup is a double marathon. Okay.
Hmm.
So why I would say that is um, doing something which every other company is doing. So back in 2012, people were all doing e-commerce. People were doing website companies, and getting handsomely paid. Then people were doing fantastic apps. People were doing new stuff, right? But what people were not doing was hardware. And the tough part here was doing something that was the tough part was doing something that's absolutely new.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So, like, no, exactly. So, like, how did you, like, can you tell us more about how did you, like, crystallize your idea? Like, let us talk a little bit about product market fit. You want to talk about
Right.
that a little?
Right. So see,
Yeah, go ahead.
product market fit is the most important thing when you do a startup. So when I say product market fit, is when you don't have to put in effort for your product to sell. So as long as you're doing a product, the most important thing is to sell your product, or to sell, or to give your offering to somebody, right? So
Hmm.
when you have to give an offering to somebody, what is important is to pay for people to come and buy it. And
Hmm.
as a startup, you start going and you start talking to people, you start evangelizing, you start pushing, you start selling people, and you start delivering service. But what is more important is these things to happen effortlessly. It's like knife on butter. So
Hmm.
to cut a block of butter, you don't put in a lot of effort. All you do is just slide it, and even a small kid can do. So
Hmm. Hmm.
product market fit is that point of time when you have customers coming at you. People won't come automatically. Of course, you have to put in some effort, but it's not an
Hmm.
uphill task. So
Hmm.
till the product market fit is when you can say that chalo ab cheese chal pada hai. So you have customers coming in, you have employees coming to your doorstep, you're building value for your customers. So that's what I would say is customer market fit, the product market fit.
Okay. So, tell us a little bit about your initial days. Now, you obviously did not have revenue, and like you had a lot of costs building up. So, how
Mhm.
did like push yourself through, and you had that conviction that okay, one more effort, and you're through the door, and you're always pushing yourself. How are you managing the show? And did you see some light at the end of the tunnel? Did you have that like kind of a end goal in mind? You knew that okay, that moment. Okay, when I get my first customer, when I get my first investor, or something.
So, as a co-founder of any company, the most important thing is the important job for you as a co-founder, as a CEO of a company, is to keep on going, to have that persistence, to have the perseverance, to keep going every single day. You know, employees will come, employees will go, customers will come, customers will go, investors will come, shareholders will come, board members will come. You will do 100 meetings, but at the end of the day, people will go. But one thing that's very important for you too is to have the perseverance. I'll give you a small example. So we had our test manufacturing. We did our manufacturing in a place called Ambattur Industrial Estate in Chennai. So those people who know Chennai, is Ambattur was where is a factory industrial area. So we had our small hole in a wall sort of a factory there, and my college was about 55 kilometers from that place. So every day we used to go to college. We used to finish college by 4, get onto a local train, then change into a bus, and then take a share auto, reach by 6:30 to the factory, do start using the machine till late in the night, till 10:30, 11, and come back home. So we used to do this every day, and every day I used to go to the factory assuming that today the machine will make dosa. So our product is dosamatic. Like most of you might know, it's an automatic dosa making machine that makes dosas automatically. So every single day you wake up and assume that today will be the day the machine will turn out dosas. And just take a wild guess, even those who are watching, on how many days it took for us to make the first dosa. Come on, just take a wild guess.
So people are watching, guys. So the question is on you. So the question is, can you guess how many days it took for them to make the first dosa on their dosa making machine? Okay, so guys, I will count down for you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
So nobody's up for the challenge, anyways. Okay, Kashyap, you take the guess.
So I think it took you 4 months. 4 months for you.
So it took us almost 450 days to get the first dosa from the machine.
Oh my God.
So it's 450 days of travel, 120 kilometers per day. You do the math. So in the traffic, in the local trains, hanging out, hanging in. So it's a game of perseverance, right? It's not easy, but as long as you believe in your dream and as long as you keep hitting, it will be done.
Yeah, exactly. I was doing this pre-show. I was just telling my people who are my students. I was telling them, look, there are people like Eshwar who have gone through this extreme perseverance, and it's not like making an app where you know that cycle time can be a maximum of 3 months to 4 months to 5 months, 6 months, and then you know for a fact that okay, there is a market for it. You can test the market, you can pivot, or you can get out of the business. But in this case, as a hardware, it takes a lot of time, a lot of time, and 450 days. I'm not surprised. 450 days, and you had that conviction, and I love it. Okay, so guys, I know you guys are watching. We know that you're watching. Leave us questions. That's how we love to listen from you. So leave your questions, and we love to answer them as we go. Okay, Ishwar. So 450
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
And you knew that dosa was on the way.
Yeah,
Who told
absolutely.
you that?
Every single day.
Who told you that dosa will come for sure? Who told you that?
So it's like this, right? When you keep building something, you don't like you're building a 10th floor apartment. You don't start from the 10th floor. You start building from ground floor, and you're building each block at a time. So
Right.
when you're building it, you know that one day it will be done. As long as you're moving, so you need to keep going.
Right. Exactly. So like now this is all about mentoring. As you know, like we are building this India's online platform. Let's call it India's biggest online platform for mentors and mentees, and you're one of our elite mentors. Let's call it. Uh, what What is the role of a mentor? Did you have a mentor in your journey?
So yes, so when you learn to um, when you when you learn, say you have to write a sentence, you can't write it by yourself. Your mom teaches you how to write ABCD, then you go to school, then you go to higher school where people teach you grammar, where people teach you how to write nice things, how to put in nice phrases and all. So what happens with building a business is it's a very dynamic thing. You need to keep getting advice and feedback on a regular basis. And if you want somebody to keep doing it on a regular basis, it would be your mentor. So having a mentor is absolutely a must, because I would say that if not for some of my mentors, I would not have been able to even build the second floor of my business as of now. So I had fantastic mentors. So you will have mentors as a mentor is somebody who would ensure that the right advice is given, despite it being not sweet for you to hear.
Right, absolutely. Now, a lot of people who are watching this uh, are starting off on their journey, and they have a dream, big dream that I will make a product, and I will
Mhm.
sell that product to a lot of people, and I will make a lot of money. Now, for those guys, where do they find their right product? How do they get started?
So whoever wants to build a product, right? So what is more important is having whoever wants to sell a product or whoever wants to sell something. Most important is to find a pain point. So
Hmm.
two things which people should always remember is people buy two things. Always buy two things. They buy pleasure or they buy something to get rid of their pain. So it's two things,
Hmm.
pleasure or pain. They buy pleasure, like you go to a movie, you go to a restaurant, or you go to, you take a nice bike, you take a nice car, you take a nice home, that because that gives you pleasure, right?
Hmm.
So, or you buy something to get rid of your pain. When I say get rid of your pain, like you have fever, you go and buy something to get rid of your fever. Then um, you have various things to get rid of your pain. So like say you have something that's wait just a second. I'd like to just charge it in. Give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm
So
plugging
pain
in.
and pleasure. We're talking about pain versus pleasure.
Right. Okay. So when you build a product, what is important is you ensure that you build something that gets rid of people's pain.
Hmm.
Say you have fever and I build a tablet for you. Say, Kashyap, I hope you don't get fever now, but say you have fever and I build a tablet for you. I say, Kashyap, you take this and your fever is gone in 5 minutes. Would you think
Right.
twice to buy this?
No, absolutely not. I would take it right away. So,
So that's
so
the
my
so that's the thing. So that's the thing. When you build something, you ensure that you're solving somebody's pain. You ensure that you're solving somebody's pain, and you can do it, or something that's pleasurable to you. But what you need to actually remember is to to build something that gives you pleasure. You need to be really sure that it is very sweet, or it's good, or some people something that like it.
right, if you could, when you're starting off, like which one is more powerful, pleasure point or a pain point? Which one would you prefer?
See, again, it depends on which market you are in, but I would always go back and build something that remains your pain, because in that
Hmm.
way, I am able to create more value for you. Say you have maybe 100 rupees. What would you be more interested in? Would you be interesting to go to a movie, or you'd be interested to fill your stomach?
Okay, so yeah, it depends on the customer, isn't it that way? So I would want to maybe go for a movie, perhaps. Right. So no, that's what I'm saying. So like that's step number one. So what are the other steps that I need to take when I get started? Like one is I need to identify the pain point and the pleasure point, and
Yes. So
I'm
you identify what's your pain, what's the customer's pain point, and
yeah,
you go and give it to a couple of customers to see if you're able to really solve their pain point. And if that's happening, then you go and position the product to the right set of audience, right? So
okay.
if you see some it's as simple. So give me an example of a product and I will help you go through it. Or if somebody's seeing live and they want to um, get a solution to how to take their product to the market, I'll be happy to do it.
Right. So, guys, the question is, if you have a product and if you want some validation, Eshwar is willing to do it right away live. but I can give you one already. So today my students, came up with one idea. They said there are people who are pet parents like me, and there are doctors. So they're thinking of coming up with a platform to connect the pet parents, which is me, with the uh, pet doctors, like the veterinary doctors. So
Okay.
if you want to comment on it, yeah.
Okay. So you have something that is a platform, right? So platform business behaves a little differently. So if you would like to build a platform business, what is more important is there are two sides. You're a platform and there are two sides, right? You have one side where you have all the doctors, I guess, and other side you have all the people like you. So
Correct.
platform business works when you have one side of the platform that's actually built, either it is organically or inorganically. So to build
Right.
this business, you will have to have one side of your platform ready, right? So
Hmm.
you might want to go up and sign up most of your pet lovers. You say you could
Hmm.
say form a community against community or a blog or a offering or a weekly gathering or Tuesdays or Sundays gathering of all the pet lovers and create that society there. And then you go and tell a doctor, you know what, there's something like this. Would you want to get on this platform so you can start sharing your views here? So
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
platform business behaves differently. So you will have to motivate one side of the platform to be there first. Then the second side of the platform would automatically follow.
Right. Wonderful. Thank
So
you.
in this
So like,
case, yeah.
yeah. So in this case, that way, like, are they solving a pain point or a pleasure point according to you for the pet parents?
So I can't comment as long as I really don't know the product as such. But I suppose it's more of a pain point because you have doctors in there. So whenever there's a pain, there's a doctor. Um, So I really feel that you're solving a pain point, and this is something that would work well because as long as you have a good number of pet lovers like you there, I'm sure there are a lot of people, there are a lot of doctors who would be paying you to come on this platform and to provide their services.
Correct. So I have this reminds me of one more question. Now, so when people are starting off, should they focus on, we know this Maslow's triangle, right, Ishwar? We have this Maslow's triangle where at the bottom of the pyramid we have the basic necessities, the food, shelter zone. Now that's where the FMCG market lies, right?
Okay.
Now where should these startups focus their energies on? Because should they focus all their energies on an area where there is a lot of traction, or should they rise up the value chain where there might be demand but a sparse demand, but high paying client but not many of them? So where do you suggest that they start off their journey? Should they become like a Swiggy who supplies food fast, like high demand zone, or where do they start?
See, it always depends on what's your customer segment. Okay, as long as you're starting up, you ensure that you identified your niche, you identified your exact persona of the customer. It does not matter if you're solving a problem for a billion people or you're solving a problem for 10,000 people. What is
Hmm.
important is you identified your customer's persona properly. When I say persona, you need to like when Netflix came to India, the customer persona
Hmm.
was very well defined. They said my
Hmm.
customers or my first million customers from India would be Apple users who stay in cities, who work for an IT company, and who have an internet connection which is more than 10 Mbps,
Okay, okay.
and they
Like
had
you're
an
clear
age
about.
they had an age limit. So this was their customer
Okay.
persona. So when once your customer persona is very clear, means this is exactly the set of customers to whom you're providing a value proposition which will solve a pain point at the end of the day. As long as you're clear on that, it doesn't really matter on what segment you're solving for.
Okay. So so how do I know if my idea will will be the next unicorn, or will be the next billion-dollar idea? How do I know that if my idea is a billion-dollar idea?
See, every idea is a billion-dollar idea, but what makes or breaks is your execution.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
so with a
because I would like to know, because you are a master at that, and I need at least 5 tips from you on execution. Please go ahead.
See, execution is more of a discipline,
Hmm.
is more of discipline rather than ideas. Okay, so say you want to say, even a company like, even you sell something like vada pav, right? So
Hmm.
McDonald's has become a $1 trillion, uh, maybe $100 billion company just by selling vada pav. So what they did was,
Hmm.
vada pav, it's a burger, right? At the end of the day, so what they have done is they have ensured that they might give a crappy burger, but they give it on time and they give the same crap all across the place. That's what is execution.
Right,
Um,
right.
so it's about discipline. Execution is all about discipline. You ensure that you are quite doing the same thing again and again consistently. So that's what is very important as long as you talk about execution. So the second thing about execution is about the scale. Is
Right.
about the scale in which you execute. Say you're catering to 5 customers and your execution is good. So you need to ensure that
Hmm.
when you're catering to 1,000 customers,
Hmm.
your execution doesn't fail there,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right?
How
So
do you
the
ensure
number
that?
of,
How do you?
so when you need to build your pilots properly. You need to ensure that when you're doing what you're doing to a customer at 15, the dynamics would
Hmm.
absolutely change when you're doing when you're doing about 100,000 customers. So you need to ensure
Right.
that every touch point with your customer is going to be taken care of well.
How
So
did
for
you do that
example,
in your own? Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So what we did in our own place was we looked at all the customer points. So if today there are kitchen equipment companies out of India, so say you're buying a Dosamatic from us, and anywhere
Right.
you're located globally, we ensure that the machine is delivered within 7 days, and by the 10th day, your machine is up and running. So that was something which we took care from day one, because say you paid some money for the product and you didn't get the product on time, or your product was delayed. So what would happen
Right.
was, your whole excitement to buy a new product and new robotic machine that uh, makes dosas for you automatically is lost.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we ensure that a simple touch point like delivery of the machine is
Hmm.
happening on time.
Hmm.
So today when we get maybe 25, 30 orders in a week, so we ensure that the same system is followed. So we are built, one tip I can give you is, whenever you're dealing with critical things, ensure that you have 2 to 3 vendors for solving your problem. So today if we have to ship a machine, we ensure that we have 4 to 5 vendors. So you put 70% of your efforts with one vendor, and you keep developing 2 or 3 vendors. So it's 70, 10, 10, 10.
Okay. Okay.
So you
So
have a
why?
backup
Why?
all the time.
Okay. So
See, it's a
that.
critical service for us. Like, we are delivering machines. We are using one good courier service. What happens if they have a issue with the courier service? There's a billing or invoicing issue with them, or your account manager turns out to be rogue and he doesn't start picking your calls tomorrow. So you don't want your customers to be affected. So you need to have two
Hmm.
or three backups for most important services for you.
Okay. So other tips like discipline you spoke about, and you spoke about scale, and any other tips like when it comes to execution. Like team
Yes.
is
So
important.
one very important thing is, um, initially you will be tempted to. So that was one big mistake we did, right? So which we have sort of started doing course correction. We did course correction later. So when we started building the product, there were orders coming all across the globe and all across the country, all across the states. We had orders from Assam, we had orders from Kashmir, we had orders from down south, east, west. Everywhere we had orders, and we started shipping the machines, and we started building a business all across the country and across the globe. So that was a mistake. We were not able to provide proper value to some of our customers, and that started backfiring. So what you would I would do in a different way today is, I would start in a very small territory, capture that territory, and then go ahead and go to the next territory. So it depends on geography. So for us, it was geography. For some other companies, it might be things like the segment of the customer. For some other companies, it might be like providing new features. So um, one thing is to do one thing perfectly well and then scale it up, rather than doing 20, 30 things at the same time.
Right. So any other ways like I want to know about team. How did you build your team? Any tips about how you chose your team? How did you build your team?
So one thing which we still follow today at the company is our average age is roughly 27, 28.
Okay.
We're about 70 people in the company right now, and our average is 28, 27, 28, I would say. We manage this because we want to build the culture of the company in a way where people are always on their knee, on their foot to, on top of their foot to do stuff. So it's very important to ensure that your team spirit is maintained.
Right. How do you do that? Like, is there a weekly meeting that you do, or any tips on that?
Right. So, as a co-founder or as the head of the company, you start building your culture. So today, maybe on a Friday evening, if your team is working, your R&D team, or your manufacturing team is working, I go out and get them snacks. I get samosas for them. I get cool drinks for them. I don't say that I'm the founder of the company. I have blah blah blah. I will not do it. Why doesn't somebody go and do it? So when you see somebody going and getting stuff for you and going and taking care of you, so that's how you see that your team people also know that this guy is just not bossing over me; is actually concerned about me.
Wow. Wow.
So then what they will say is they will go and get more people into the team, and the culture will follow.
Wonderful. Now, what was your happiest moment in your journey? I know you had a lot of them. If you could pick, let's like it's like asking Virat Kohli, which one was your best century? So similar question to you. Which one was your best moment of this many happy moments you had? What was your happiest moment in your journey until now?
In my startup journey?
Let me start the journey. Yeah, if you want to add your other family side, would be happy to know as well.
No, not the family side. I would say about the startup journey. So many people said you're an entrepreneur and you will never get married. But when somebody said yes to me, so that was a happy thing for me. So it was both on a professional and a personal side.
Right. Awesome.
Right.
Okay. So how did was it like
apart from so I met Mahati when I was at office and I had my company shirt on and I was in a couple of meetings and she said I want to meet you. I ran out of the meeting. I went, met her for say 45 minutes, had a coffee and came back, and then later she said yes. I was like, wow, somebody really wants to marry an entrepreneur.
Okay,
so that was.
You had a
so many people said if you become an entrepreneur, you won't get married. So that's absolutely wrong. So it was a happy point for me.
Right. So in the startup journey, let's come to our startup journey.
Right. So talking about pure professional stuff, every time somebody gives us a good rating on Google, so that's a happy moment for us. So somebody voluntarily going onto Google and say, hey, you guys do, we are a B2B company as of now. So somebody going onto Google and saying, you guys have done a good job is something, a very happy feeling for an entrepreneur like me.
Right, right. Awesome. So, and also know that
talking about happy things, I come back to this because many people feel that the moment you raise your Series A, see, we have done angel, we have done seed round, we have raised angel money, we have done VC money. So it does not really create that happiness of getting a check from an investor compared to getting a check from a customer. And getting customers to buy from you again and again is the most happiest moment for you as an entrepreneur because you are there to solve customer issues. You're not there to raise money. You're not there to give talks. You're not there to give interviews. You're not there to boss over people. You are there for your customers. So when you have a customer, that's the happiest moment for an entrepreneur. And that's what if that's what keeps you happy, then you will be a successful entrepreneur, according to me. If you're living for a newspaper interview or if you're living for something else, then you might want to think again.
Wow, brilliant, wonderful. Now talking about investment, how does anybody raise investments? Are there different ways of raising investment?
See, if you're looking for an investment, right? So one thing you need to remember is, have you put your own skin in the game? Okay. Right. So when you raise your investment, see that if you were in the investor's position, would you put in that much money? That's point number one. Point number two is when you have actually put in all your, if you have gone out all in and you're putting all your money, you're putting all your efforts, and you're putting everything, uh,
Mhm.
people, investors see that. They see that this guy has risked everything out. And remember that they're
Mhm.
not putting money in your brilliant idea or your brilliant app, they're putting money in you.
Mhm.
So as long as you're able to show the passion in you, for starters, you're able to show the passion in you and really take all the way out and show that you're put in the effort, then you'll be able to raise money. So coming to some of the tips, which um, you could raise money, is one tip which
Right.
you follow is you don't. So you have to maintain relationships with
Mhm.
investors. So
Mhm.
it's not showing up one day and then disappearing, that this guy never invested in me. You keep talking to them, you start building a relation with them, start sending, giving them updates.
Mhm.
You know, even if the response is not coming from their end, but you still keep in touch with them.
Mhm.
So people work with people. They don't work with business plans. They don't work with PowerPoints. So when you are in touch with them over a period of say 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you start building a relationship with those people, and then slowly trust start coming. And then if things are really good, then your investment will come through.
Wonderful. Wow. And any other innovative ways like to raise investment? What like that?
See, nowadays there are various ways in which, if you're a product company, there are, if I'm talking about India in particular, uh, uh, people like SIDB is investing in startups. There are loans by that banks have started giving out. These are the apart from angel investing, right? So one more easy way to do is go and talk to customers. So I'll give you a small
Hmm.
story of what we did when we were uh, not having money, because we were students. We didn't have that much money, and I had already spent money from the internships I did and some of the money my parents and Sudeep's, my co-founder's parents, had given. So what we did was we made a list of all the business plan competitions that were happening,
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
put in a filter to say that which were the top business plan competitions where you would earn more than 25, 30K if you won. And we started applying to all of them. So we won
Hmm.
five, six competitions, and some money came through that. And also, apart from money, we started building some customers. So many
Hmm.
would say in an early stage of the startup, people would not pay money. That's true, but
Hmm.
if you are able to, what we did was we had this machine which was not ready to be sold, but it was
Hmm.
making dosas. So what we did was
Hmm.
we identified some of the outlets, and we started putting the machine there, and we started
Hmm.
collecting money. We said we will make dosas for you. You sell the dosas from the machine, and you pay us. So we used to do this
Hmm.
on weekends. We used to take the machine to food outlets. We used to put the machine there in food outlets. We used to make the dosas and give it to the person. The restaurant would sell the dosas, and we used to make money out of it. So though it
Wow.
was not a huge amount, it was still significant for a startup.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if nobody pays, at least if your customer is willing to pay, that is a big thing
Hmm.
for you. Because the moment you have paying customers, your investors would follow, your employees would follow, your teammates would follow, everybody would follow. So put the
Hmm.
focus back on a customer.
Customer is the most important thing. Traction, isn't it?
Customer centricity is the most important thing. I don't know if you know the
Right.
story of Amazon. Whenever Amazon, I don't know, you might know. So whenever Amazon has a meeting, they have one chair empty. So that
Hmm.
chair
Hmm.
represents the customer. So that's
Wow.
why they're
Very
called the
much.
world's most customer-centric company.
Wow. One chair empty. That's something which all of us can try in our companies. Wow. Wow. Now, and I know that you're also helping create entrepreneurs by
Right.
helping people set up their food outlets. Tell us more about
Right.
that.
So currently, we have about 800 food outlets in India,
Mm-hmm.
where almost every food outlet is set up by an entrepreneur. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when every food outlet is being set up by an entrepreneur, we help that entrepreneur grow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Okay,
how
go ahead.
we have a lot of customers. We have a lot
And
of
you're also,
entrepreneurs.
yeah, and you're also helping college kids to like set up their food outlet.
Yes, we do have helped a lot of college students. In fact, if somebody in Hyderabad watching this wants to set up in Hyderabad or Bangalore, wants to set
Hmm.
up a food outlet in any of the Carnival movie theaters, we have an open offer. So if anybody wants to do that, we'll be happy to help them set up a food outlet in Carnival theaters.
Hmm. 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 So awesome. So like when people are getting started, anybody who's getting started on their journey, what are the typical roadblocks that they can expect on their journey? Like, is it? I know everybody knows that 90% of the startups fail.
Mhm.
Why should people still get started on this journey?
See, 90 if you are going into this for fame, if you're going into this because it's a cool thing to do, if you're going doing a startup because you want to come onto the cover page of a newspaper, that's not the reason you start up. You're
Right.
starting up because you feel the idea you have is solving a customer's problem and
Right.
is creating some value to a customer. And as long as
Right.
you're clear about that, any roadblock you
Hmm.
get, you will get the strength to go through this because the customer will be there with you to take you through this.
Hmm. 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 And also,
So
I think a
other
lot of people. Yeah. Go ahead. Other ones. Go ahead.
other pain point which you normally see is your team, right? Your team which started with you might start leaving after some time. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
okay because you will have various people at various stages of your journey. So people
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
started with you, it won't happen
Hmm.
all the time that they will last the whole journey of a startup. Don't get blown
Hmm.
away by that. Infosys started by seven co-founders or 11 co-founders, and still they exist. There might be
Hmm.
exceptions, but when you start up, you have somebody who works with you for 3 months, 6 months, and then they decide to leave. That's totally fine. So many
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
become tempted to go back and say that, what, people are leaving me, so I should go back. So that's okay. People are there during particular durations to help you, and then they will move on. So
Hmm.
it has always happened in our journey that if somebody has moved on or we decided to remove somebody, the next person
Hmm.
that came in that position was at least
Hmm.
10x better than them. So when somebody
Hmm. Hmm.
leaves, previously I was very, I would get into a depression sometimes. Somebody left, this guy was very good for the company and all. But later I realized the person who took his place was 10x better than the previous person. So if somebody leaves, sometimes I'm very happy. You know what? We are going to get somebody better than him here.
Hmm. So we have a question. It's so. Would you please give any comments on the idea I spoke? Yeah, platform. Yeah, that, I think we just covered that. I think, isn't it? You want to add anything more about this question? Pet and vet doctors. You want to add anything more because we spoke about
So,
it
so
already.
I think that's a brilliant idea to have, to create a platform between pets and pet owners and doctors. As long as you have figured out a revenue model, that should be fine. If you have some clarity about the revenue model and you have taken some baby steps towards it, that should be fine.
Right. So when all these kids, so nice to work with these people because these kids have they are in engineering. Like I mean, unlike when you started, even when you started, or when I graduated from my engineering college, we didn't have this kind of a ecosystem which was helping them right from their college times to like bring them up, and it's brilliant to see these people working on their business ideas.
Right.
Yeah. So um, now, somebody, let's say let's focus on second target market who watch this show typically. Now, these people are NRIs who are working abroad, who are working in Bangalore, who are working in IT uh, IT profession, and what could be the first action step because they have family commitment as well now. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, they can't leave their jobs. So, what could they do to realize the dream of a startup?
Right. So we see a lot of people like that. Talking about NRIs, most of our machines get exported. 30% to 40% of our machines get exported, and many NRIs in other countries, especially US, UK, North America, and Australia, some part of Asian countries and Middle East. Most of the people use Dosamatic They might be working somewhere, but they still have a restaurant or their small food outlet to sell food. So we work with a lot of entrepreneurs there. So one thing is, if you're able to find something, some startup or some idea to start working a parallel, that's good. But if you're not able to do that, because that creates a lot of that needs a lot of effort. You have a day job and that can be very pressing. So one thing you can do is you can start advising startups. Many
Mm.
startups need advisors from people like you. Say we are currently looking out for people who are in electronics, people who are good in embedded systems. So you might be working at
Mm.
some of the top companies like Qualcomm, some of the top Honeywell, some of the top companies there, and you can come and advise with startups where people will put out a red mat for you and welcome you. They will ensure that you get the pleasure of doing your own project in your own way, and you can also earn some pocket money in that. The startup would not be willing to pay the check you would be getting at Qualcomm or some of the top MNCs, but you will get the pleasure out of working in a startup. So being a
Mm.
consultant to a company is one way you can do to a startup. You do it not just for money. Money can be one of the motivators, but 90% of the motivation should be that you're doing something different and you're running your own show.
Mm. 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 Yeah. So I now question. Now a lot of people don't know what to start up with. So the question goes to you straight to you, Ishwar.
Mhm.
Let's say you, I hope not. Let's say you lose everything that you got. Okay.
Mhm.
And if you had to start up right now,
Mhm.
what would you do? What would be your action steps for the next 30 days? What would you do? Where would you start? What would you do? We keep doing like 30 days. Next 30, you lost your money, you lost your business idea. All you have is business acumen, and you start
Right.
right now. What do you do? Yeah.
So one thing I might do is come and work with you in investment,
Okay.
because I really
Okay.
believe what you're doing, and it is creating a lot of impact in the society. So when I started up, I was lucky to get a mentor, to get somebody to come and help and mentor me. But many people are not lucky doing. Many people don't find it, and today people take startups for a ride. Saying that we will be helping you, will be mentoring you, will be doing stuff for you. But most of the time, it doesn't really work out. So I would
Hmm.
like to come and work with companies like you to uh, help companies, help startups mentor.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you. So like then that way, like who is a good mentor and who is a bad mentor from your point
Uh, a mentor would be, see, there is no good mentor or bad mentor.
of view? Okay.
It's like there's no good girlfriend, there's no bad girlfriend. A girl who works for you might not work for somebody else,
Right.
right? So it's
Right.
about the chemistry between you and the mentor.
Okay, nice. So now people know that, okay, like let's say few months back there was no place where they could find. Yes, there are a lot of platforms where there are mentors, and
Mhm.
but they're limited and you have to physically go there. So that's the intention of our idea, that we bring the
Right.
mentors to your phones. You can just open the phone and you can talk to your mentor, and that's the power of our idea that we're working on. So you can talk to Ishwar and awesome mentors every week. We're creating a platform as we speak, so it should be live most probably by next month. We're working hard to make it as simple as possible for you. Okay, so Ishwar, coming back
Right.
now, what like what was your toughest moment? Did we already speak about this? What was your toughest moment in
I,
in your
I
challenge?
think I think we covered that.
Okay, we already covered. So anything that we how to get your first customer? That's the question. Yes, how to get your first customer?
So you need to keep working with. See, when you start doing something, there'll be many people who would come and start liking you. Some of them will say we'll pay you. Some of them will say uh, we want to. Uh, they feel that this is a good idea and they would want to work with you. But many of them would not turn up and pay you back. That's fine. So start working
Hmm.
with some pilot customers. Start working with some people who you feel will pay eventually.
Hmm.
So it's
How
it's
do, how do you
it's sales.
identify them?
So when you get your customer, it's all about sales, right? So sales is a funnel.
Right.
So it would not happen that you have one person as a prospect and he would pay. You might need
Hmm.
more prospects so that you might need more sales.
Basically, you're saying we should have a big sample space and pitch
A
everywhere and
decent,
don't know.
a decent, a decent enough sample space. It's like
Right.
when you will get early adopters for sure, but ensure that your sample space is big. Don't see, for some people, some product it might be 5 people, some people it might be 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. But the first sale should come from you as a co-founder.
Hmm. Okay. What do you mean by that? First sale, I should sell the product. Is
First
that what you
sale,
mean?
yes, absolutely right.
Okay. Okay.
Don't expect a professional to come and sell for you. Once you have done your first sale, then people will trust you more, people will believe you more.
Wow. Wonderful.
And doing your first sale, you will be able to learn a lot about your product, about your customer, about all the challenges, because from tomorrow onwards, whoever comes and says something, you can show that you understand the point from which they're coming.
Hmm. Yeah. So one more question I think of now. Yeah, in a recent, I think I connected you to that Dosa guy. So there are a lot of people who want to be in this hardware space. So what's your advice for people who are planning to get into this, specifically these engineers who are planning to get into this
So
hardware
it's a
space? What
so
are the tips
so
with it?
I'll tell you the biggest secret of getting into the hardware space. There's a secret,
Yeah,
and the secret is there's a lot of money here. When you have a product,
there's no.
it's much easier to sell. There's a lot of money. You will be
Okay.
able to sell easily to people
Mm-hmm.
once your product is ready. People will. You don't have to work hard to explain people about the product. So
Mm.
my advice is once you get your product right, it won't be much difficult for you to sell your product.
Right, and I also
And
remember
it is
I remember you telling me that unlike if for app, I think anybody can come up with an app, but to make a hardware product, it's a huge barrier to entry for other people, isn't it?
yes. Your competition will take time to catch up, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time you have already built your second, third, fourth version of the product, you will also have uh, something to show off, right? Every
Mm-hmm.
startup has something to show, but here what happens is you can actually take it to people, you can show it, people can touch it, feel it, see it. And being a
Mm-hmm.
hardware startup, I was just telling somebody, it connects people. So if you say you have developed a software or you developed something, app. So if somebody wants to see a demo, you just send a link on WhatsApp. But a product, you can't do that. You meet that person. So
Mm-hmm.
you really have a huge network of people you meet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one more
Yeah, I mean,
advice to
like
get to
talking
develop a lot
about
of connects.
connects. How did you bring up your distribution networks? How did you build that?
So, see, a distributor at the end of the day, every company would require partners to grow.
Right.
So, not only a product like a distributor. So, you have made a software, you need resellers, you need partners to
Mm-hmm.
grow all the time. So, what you would, so it's your customer is one person, and your distributor can be treated as your another customer because he gets value, he gets money by selling your products. So it's important that you create value for that person also in the value chain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you include him as part of the whole equation.
Absolutely right.
Right. So one question that we missed out on was how to find out if they are actually solving an issue. Is that already solved for
They in
you?
the sense, they in the sense.
How to find out if people the startups are actually solving an issue, solving the problem. How to find out?
If you get a reference customer, or if you get a resale, that means you're
Hmm.
solving an issue.
Wow, nice. So I'm done with my questions, Ishwar. So any message that you have for the startups? Anything that you want to add to this? Let's tell these people for starting up
See,
on this.
so for students who are starting up, one thing is I would say is starting up right after college is the best decision you would ever make. Um, I have seen most of my friends in my class say that no, we will start up after we'll finish college, we'll take up a job, we'll work for a few years, and then we'll start up. True, nothing wrong in that. I'm not against it, but it's going to be much more challenging for you to start up after you join a job and again come back and start up. So the best time to start up is right after college or
Yeah, one
even
question.
inside college. Right.
Yeah. So one question on that now. Maybe that's the most common question I get from the students is, "Hey, I need to get some industry experience and then I'll get started." How true is
Right.
experience for a startup? How true is it? How true is it? Tell me.
Little, you need a little experience, so you can work as a startup, work in a startup as an intern when you're studying in college, or you can do some freelancing service. You
Hmm.
can, if the motive is to learn, you can join any startup and start doing service. You can work free of cost for them. I did it
Right.
for a couple of companies when I was a student. That really helped me pick up a lot of skill sets.
Okay. Hmm.
So it's the skill
Yeah.
set. It's not the industry experience that actually matters.
Right. So basically, you're not meaning that they should work for a big IT firm. You're not meaning to say that, isn't it?
So working for an
You-
IT firm, you are a cog in the wheel, but you don't see the whole wheel, or you don't see the whole engine for yourself.
Right. Right. So basically, that's not what is experience from your experience from your point of view, isn't it?
You get professional experience. You get to learn how to write good letters, how to write nice
Okay.
emails. You get to know how to speak to a HR, how to dress up, how to hang out on weekends. But that's not
Hmm.
required for you to start up.
Wow. Nice. So for the people who are working, what is your last message to these people, like before they can get started?
See, there is a video on YouTube called "The Great Hound Escape." So what
Hmm.
happens is there is a hound, which hound is a dog, a big dog. It wants to escape from its cage. It,
Right.
it comes onto it spends almost 45 minutes in getting on the top of the cage. It comes out of the cage, and there's one last jump it has to take out of the cage. It
Hmm.
it takes for almost 45 more minutes to just jump. So what
Hmm.
happens in most of the people is they do a lot of planning, but they don't just take the leap.
Hmm.
Once they take
Hmm.
the leap, it's a free fall, and it's exciting, right?
Wow.
So my advice is, free falls are always exciting. Okay,
Hmm.
just go and take the leap.
Take the lead.
Don't take the leap. Don't keep planning all the time. Go ahead and take the leap.
Yeah, basically, like maybe the last question here:
Right,
planning versus execution.
right. So startup is
Tell
always
us.
about building a plane as you fly. So
So,
you can't, or it's like learning. It's like swimming, right? You can't learn to swim on a paper. You can't theoretically learn to swim. You learn to swim only when you dive into water.
hmm.
So you can get some basics on how to move your hand and all, but if you have to swim, you have to jump into water. So if you
Right.
want to start up, do a little planning. That's not bad, but 95% of your planning will happen when you actually jump. So go ahead and take the jump.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ishwar. Any last points you want to add before we close this
I think
interview?
that's I think that should be it.
Yeah, wonderful. So, where can they reach out? Yeah, obviously, they can reach out through our platform and tell us a little bit more about
I'm
website and your services.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we are a kitchen robotics company. We make machines that make food automatically. So we have some wonderful IP. We have installations in we have customers in 16 countries. We have been able to build 700, 800 entrepreneurs across India who run food outlets today, and we support them. Um, we are one of the uh, top companies in India who are into robotics. We are looking in ways to save people's time to so that you cook food automatically, you eat tasty, healthy food. That's what we do. You can
Hmm.
see our product on dosamatic.com. I'm easily
Hmm.
reachable on Facebook and LinkedIn. I would prefer LinkedIn more. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook.
Right. Are you working on any other products as you speak, like only dosa machines or any other things that you're working on?
We have just recently launched an automatic roti making machine called Dobot. It makes various
Wow.
kinds of breads. We're also working on a lot of B2C products. We have a lot of IP, and we are always looking for uh, young and exciting people who want a startup experience to come and join us. So if
So
you're
they
looking for
can.
something, you can reach out to me, and we're always happy to have you on board.
Wow, wonderful. So great opportunity, guys. I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would close my eyes and take it because it's all about hardware. Hardware is all about doing it. And if you go to their shop floor, people are working extremely hard. You can get every type of experience. Social media, if you want making a product, if you want to learn about production, management, this, that. There are a lot of things that you can learn from this awesome person called Eshwar. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, so you can meet him also in our platform that we are building. So he'll be mentoring you guys. No idea is a big, no idea is a bad idea. So he'll be happy to help you guys to start up on your journey to become a successful startup. So thank you so much, Ishwar, for joining us, and look forward to connecting with you in the next call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kashyap. See you.